The two best laptops on the planet, no arguments, and possibly the most difficult decision you'll ever have to make. For the last few months, I've been going between the M3 Max 14-inch MacBook Pro and this 13-inch M4 MacBook Air, which is weird. It's not the sort of behavior that I endorse because you should just have one laptop. The reason that I have both is because I'm a tech reviewer and that's just what I do. The good news is if you're thinking about buying either the Pro or the Air and you're completely confused, I can help because I've got significant experience using both the Pro and the Air for very specific tasks. Equally, even if you're not looking to buy one of these laptops and you just find this interesting, I think you'll like this video. Just a very quick disclaimer, I am filming this in February 2026 and we're possibly on the cusp of a new MacBook Pro, an M5 Pro, M5 Max, who knows? And then later this year, apparently, according to the rumors, we may be getting a complete redesign. However, this guidance is completely relevant no matter which MacBook Pro is the current model. Let's get that out of the way straight away and let's get straight into it. Time for a controversial opinion, potentially. I think in 2026, the MacBook Pro and the MacBook Air are very well priced. And the reason I say that is because the base models are so competent. You can do so much with the cheapest version of both of these laptops. And with RAM prices as they are at the moment, this whole RAM crisis, if you start speccing up a Windows laptop, because you need to, trust me, it gets very, very expensive very quickly. You don't need to really do the same thing with these laptops from Apple, which is good news. The challenge comes from the fact that the MacBook Air is getting better and better and better. I think the 13-inch M4 MacBook Air is the best laptop Apple has ever made, which means going from this to this might be a stretch for people. This is creeping into MacBook Pro territory. So what I thought I'd do is reveal the hidden costs, both in terms of money, but also your time and your productivity behind these two laptops, because that is where you can save money. Just a very quick word from today's sponsor, which is DeskIn. I have a habit of leaving stuff on my Mac Mini desktop or in the downloads folder that sometimes I need when I'm not in this room. In the past, it's been a real pain getting hold of them until I started using DeskIn. It lets you remote control your computer from any phone or laptop, even if you're not on the same Wi-Fi. You just connect with the DeskIn app and bang, you're straight in with no time limits and no complicated setups. I've been using it to transfer files between devices, access video projects, and even run AI tools remotely while I'm on the go. The extended display feature is also a total game changer. I just hook up my iPad as a second screen and keep dashboards and previews running while I work. But this is the most amazing part. You can actually play your games on your PC, on your phone, using DeskIn. So if you've got a proper PC at home with a proper gaming setup on it, it works on your phone without any choppiness or lag or anything at all. It's just mind-blowing. We're talking 4K at 60 frames per second or even 2K at 240 frames per second, if your setup can handle it. Also, it's got 200 plus global server nodes, so latency is super low at under 40 milliseconds. Basically, it feels very, very smooth. If you're bouncing between locations like I am all the time and you want to access your setup from anywhere, DeskIn is really worth trying. Try it out now with code Ellis for 50% off your first month and 20% off yearly plans. Starting with the MacBook Pro, this has so many ports. It's got 3 Thunderbolt ports, it's got the SD card reader, it's got an HDMI port as well. However, if you never plug anything into any of those, then why didn't you just get the MacBook Air? Equally, this has fans, which means it's got active cooling, and that means if you get fruity with it and start doing very intensive video transcoding and audio work and very, very intensive stuff, it's less likely to slow down than the MacBook Air. However, I've never heard the fans come on a M series MacBook Pro ever, and I have done some fairly fruity stuff with them. They just don't make a sound, which does kind of suggest that maybe I could just get away with the MacBook Air, which doesn't have fans, doesn't have those ports, but does it matter? Then the display. This has a beautiful 120 Hz ProMotion 1600 nits of peak brightness display, and it's amazing. But the MacBook Air display is really good as well, and I would challenge you sometimes to even spot the ProMotion display on this. It's not always that obvious. So again, Do you need it? Then we have the portability factor, which I love because I get so many comments saying I should go to the gym more and that sort of stuff. The 14-inch MacBook Pro is a fantastically portable powerhouse. It's amazing what this thing can do and just slip into your bag almost unnoticed. The 16-inch version, however, which you might be tempted by because it's huge and impressive and lovely, is like carrying around a 16-inch laptop. Trust me, they are big. They're very cumbersome, and fine, if you go to the gym every single hour of your life, then you'll be fine. But they are, joking apart, a bit of a thing to cart around. I did that for 2 years and I had enough by the end of it. So again, do you need all that when this is so light? And lastly, for the MacBook Pro, we have the waiting cost. As mentioned, we're on the cusp, potentially, who knows, of a big refresh this year for the MacBook Pro, a complete redesign later this year and some new chips potentially fairly soon. They might even be here by the time that you watch this video. However, if you keep waiting for those new things, that new design, the new chips, etc., you'll never ever buy a MacBook Pro, or you will eventually, and you'll end up spending more money, you'll spend more time in the lead up to it, wasting time doing. The waiting cost for the MacBook Pro is quite significant. I think most people and most businesses who need a MacBook Pro just buy it straight away because it's a tool. If you're really umming and erring about it, this exists already. And yes, we will get updates to the MacBook Air this year, but they're not going to be quite as significant potentially as this. Now for the hidden costs behind the MacBook Air. The lack of fans. So this doesn't have any moving parts in it, which means it will never make a noise, ever, ever, ever. The downside of that is that if you do get if you do get into stuff like, really intensive 4K, 8K video editing or music work or stuff that really pushes the cores on these laptops, the MacBook Air is more likely to slow itself down or throttle, as they say, to keep itself cool and keep running basically, and that could be annoying. Potentially, particularly if the stuff that you do is linked to you being paid. So if you need to get that thing done and this is taking longer because it's getting a bit hot under the collar, that could be annoying and costly. Then we have the port situation. So yes, we do get MagSafe, which is fantastic, which you get on the MacBook Pro as well, but we just get 2 USB-C or Thunderbolt ports. And well, that's limiting, isn't it? Because you can only plug 2 things into them at once. No, 2 things into this laptop at once, which could get annoying. And that brings me on to the dongle cost. So for instance, you might need one of these. This is a dongle that has USB-A on it. In fact, you'd need that for the MacBook Pro. You get the point. This has another bunch of ports on it, including an SD card reader and also HDMI. But equally, you might need one of these things, which is a dock. So it includes loads of different ports. But again, you'd be buying this as well as your MacBook Air, which, okay, they're not massively expensive, but they do artificially increase the overall cost of ownership of the MacBook Air. And that isn't the case with the MacBook Pro. You might need one of these for USB-A, but that's about it. Then the display cost. Now, I did kind of brush over the whole ProMotion thing on the MacBook Pro a moment ago, but I'm very conscious that a lot of people love the display on the MacBook Pro, and they do value ProMotion. You can see it. You can see it in certain elements of macOS when you're moving windows around, and it does have an impact within certain apps as well, depending on what you're doing. So that's important. And also 1600 nits of peak brightness versus 500 nits. It's a significant difference when it comes to how bright the display can get on the MacBook Pro versus the MacBook Air. So if you work outside a lot, or if you just need that really piercing HDR brightness, then the MacBook Air probably isn't for you. Now for the big question, which one should you buy? Okay, the buying strategy for the MacBook Air is incredibly straightforward. Just buy it. If this is the one that is really catching your eye at the moment, and all the stuff I said about the MacBook Pro is kind of like, well, that would be nice, but it's more money, just buy this. Even if by the time that you watch this video, we have a new M5 Pro or M5 Max MacBook Pro, which looks really tempting, it's going to be quite a bit more expensive than this, which means this is a very safe purchase today. When it comes to the MacBook Pro, if you can wait, if you're watching this at the end of February and we haven't heard anything yet, give it a couple of weeks because something could potentially happen. Maybe. If nothing happens after 2 weeks, buy it. Again, if you think you need this because of the ports, the fans, the display, whatever it is, get it. If you're watching this video in July, for instance, and we still haven't heard anything about the rumored big MacBook Pro update, get it. Just don't wait for those rumors. They may never come true. And again, you will not be disappointed. And this leads me to an inevitable conclusion. Whenever I do these comparison videos, the comment sections are fascinating because so many people jump on this narrative of if you're spending that much money on a spec'd up MacBook Air, why not just get the MacBook Pro? Or if you're spending that much money on the Mac Mini, get the Mac Studio, etc. There is some merit behind that, but I firmly believe they're very, very different machines. And a spec'd up MacBook Air is the perfect laptop for several years for the right user, even if it creeps into MacBook Pro territory, because of all those things that I mentioned, the hidden costs behind these laptops that you don't initially think about, and it works both ways. The conclusion I've come to in 6 years of doing this is that most people know what they need. And also because Apple Silicon has completely changed the game, it's made the MacBook Air so much more competent and so much closer to the MacBook Pro. The result of that is that the MacBook Pro is for a very specific user. And you know if you're that user. I'm confident of that. And if you're not that user and you just want it, get it. No one can tell you any different. But now guys, it's over to you. Get involved in the comments. Tell me which one of these laptops is for you and why. And if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do, because if we do get new Pros and new Airs this year, I will certainly be reviewing them. See you down there.